show. It's the show English. Yeah. Let me hand over to you.
Thank you, Marcus. Please tell me when time is up. Okay. Or when like almost up, maybe like 5 minutes or something. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Andres. Thank you for coming to my presentation. If I speak too loudly or too quickly, please let me know. My presentation is about Star Wars. There are 6 Star Wars movies, and the 7th Star Wars movie is coming out this Christmas. And the first Star Wars movie was also on TV here in Taiwan last month, August. And more recently, Friday, 4 September was Force Friday, when the new Star Wars toys went on sale. Star Wars is my favorite movie, and well, one of my favorites. And it's the first movie I ever saw in a movie theater. Star Wars came out in 1977, the same year I was born. So my mother took me from the hospital straight to the movies. Just kidding. I actually saw Star Wars when I was 4 years old, but more importantly, so many people have seen Star Wars. So many people love Star Wars. So much can be said about Star Wars. So much has been said about Star Wars. If we had time, I would say, okay everybody, we're gonna watch all 6 movies, and we're gonna talk about all of them. And Ian, that's the next outing. Just kidding.
No problem.
But because we don't have a lot of time, let's just look at one clip and talk about it. There's so much happening just in the beginning of this movie, and if we have time, we'll talk about another clip as well. And for the sake of my presentation, we'll just watch it without sound. So no sound, just watch it. And at any time, please just jump in with questions, just anytime. Okay. Okay, let's pause. Okay. I'll pause here already. Look how old it is. You can tell this is old for one thing. Just 22 seconds into the movie begins. We see the beginning of the movie. Question: what don't we see? We do not see what? What do we do not see? I'll tell you what we don't see. We don't see the opening credits. We don't see who directed this movie. Who's the name of the director? We don't see it. Who wrote this movie? We don't see it. Who are the actors in this movie? We don't see their names. There are 5 Terminator movies. You know Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator? And the most recent one, which came out this summer, had opening credits. In fact, 15 minutes into the most recent Terminator movie, there were still opening credits. 15 minutes. Now, let's look at the beginning of the movie, or let's continue looking at the beginning of the movie. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. How do fairy tales begin?
Once upon a time.
Where?
In Wonderland. I'm just kidding.
They begin once upon a time in a land far away. This movie is showing us that it's not just a movie, not just a story, but a fairy tale, a myth, a legend, and it's modern. In other words, one of the reasons why so many people like Star Wars is because it is new and old. It is familiar and different. It uses things that have been used before in ways that have not been used before. And we will see more of this. Now, let's talk about opposites. Here, the movie begins with these 10 words and no sound. Then, the movie continues. The movie continues with the title. Just 2 words. They fill the screen. And the music starts. There's no sound for this presentation, but if there was, you would hear that the music is big and fanfare. Opposites. It starts quiet, no sound, and then it continues big and loud. It starts subdued, but continues big. Now let's look at the opening scroll. Practice your English reading skills. So I'll pause it here. This is Romeo and Juliet. Here's how it begins. 2 households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. It continues to introduce to us the story of the play. This tells us the story of the movie. So Star Wars begins in a similar way that Shakespeare began his plays, and in a similar way that the ancient Greeks began their plays. This movie is showing us that it is literature. But it's a movie, it's not a book. Old and new. Opposites. Now, let's look again at opposites. You will see 2 spaceships. 1 small, 1 big. Opposites. Let's watch. That's a big ship. The big ship, let me go back a little bit. Even further. The big ship is so big that it fills the whole screen. It even gets bigger than the screen. Imagine watching this in a dark movie theater on the big screen, and you see a big ship filling up everything. This ship belongs to the Empire, and it symbolizes that the evil empire is big and everywhere. Now, look at these opposites. Two robots. One tall, the other small. One has legs, one has wheels. One looks like a person, one doesn't. One is yellow, one is blue. Look at everything else. There's a lot of white, there's a lot of black. Opposites. One moment, sorry. Okay. Look at these soldiers. We see their faces. We see their clothes. Now, look at the door. You're gonna see a door in a second. Watch what happens, and then look at the other soldiers. Watch the door and watch what happens. Look at these soldiers. We don't see their faces. We don't see their clothes. We see their armor. And do you know what they look like? Do they look familiar? They look like this.
Alien.
Yeah.
They look like skeletons. Zombies, dead people, and they're coming. Now, watch this. Who is that? Do you know what he looks like? He looks like this.
Question. Where did you get it?
Collection, right? Your collection.
That's a personal question. No, I actually, I paid way too much money for this at a toy store near Shida, where I live. But anyway, so that's the answer to that question.
A toy store nearby Shida, in Taiwan?
Yeah. Where I live.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I live, okay, just really quickly, I live in the square of Shida, Heping, Taishan, and Roosevelt. So a whole bunch of stuff here.
USA, but it's from, you bought it from Taiwan.
Yeah, I bought it here in town. He doesn't look like a dead person. He looks like death itself. Now, watch this. And the dead follow him. The dead follow their leader, death. And for all of us, death is knocking at the door. And if we don't open the door, death will blow it open. And after death blows the door open, it will come for us, because we all die. Everything here that we see here looks like death. Questions so far? Okay? How are we doing on time?
8 minutes.
3 minutes?
8.
Okay, good. That was the beginning of the movie. Now let's look at a clip at the end of the movie. Let me explain what's happening here. These pilots of these small ships are trying to hit a very small target so that they will destroy the enemy. They will use their computers to try to hit the target. Watch what happens. He's using the computer. Death is chasing him. He fails to hit the target using the computer. And he dies. So what just happened? He uses his computer, he fails to hit the target, and he dies. Now watch what happens when the other pilot tries to do the same thing. So the first pilot failed and died. The second pilot, his name is Luke. I'll show you, that's him. His name is Luke. He goes inside with his two friends, the guy with the mustache, him, and the other guy. He has a robot co-pilot. One friend, the other friend. Here comes death. One friend is damaged. He has to leave. There he goes. His other friend dies. He uses his computer. Here, a voice tells him to use the force. Luke decides not to use the computer, instead to use the force. And now he loses his robot co-pilot. We're running short on time, so I won't show you the rest of the clip, but let me explain what happens. One friend was damaged and had to leave, the other friend was killed. Then Luke tried to use the computer, but then a voice told him, use the force. Luke turned off his computer. Then his robot co-pilot was destroyed. Luke has no friends, no robot co-pilot, no computer, but he has the force. And by using the invisible, mysterious, maybe magical force, he accomplishes his goal. We won't see it because we don't have time, but he hits the target. By using the force, he defeats all of this advanced technology around him. And that is the central irony of Star Wars. It uses technology to make an anti-technology message. Now, the message of this movie is similar to the message that religion is more powerful than science. Science cannot save us from death. We all die. Well, maybe in the future it will. But that's the message of this movie. Now, imagine watching this movie with sound. And finally, for some people, Star Wars is not good. Some people think Star Wars is stupid. Star Wars is just special effects, right? Just technology. But the late Roger Ebert, Pulitzer Prize-winning movie critic, and probably the most popular movie critic ever, said, I think all movies are special effects. Movies are not real. They're two-dimensional. The film goes through the camera, the projector throws the light on the screen, and that makes a special effect. It's a dream. It's an imagination. And I would like to take this opportunity to end by suggesting that we make an outing of going to MTV and watching the Star Wars movies to prepare for the new Star Wars movie this Christmas. I think that's a great idea. I love MTV, and yes, when I go to MTV, I actually watch movies. That's all I do when I go to MTV. I don't do anything else when I am inside MTV. I'm not 18 years old, I am 38. Okay. This book is called Science Fiction, and if you are further interested in the topic of Star Wars or science fiction, you can have this book from me. It talks about Star Wars and other science fiction. And I also recommend you find and watch the movie Hidden Fortress. I don't know the Japanese name, but it's an old black and white Japanese movie by one of the greatest filmmakers in the world ever, Akira Kurosawa, or Kurosawa Akira. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Great, time is just up. Any questions? So there are like six. It's a series of 6, right?
Yes.
And which one is your favorite? And why?
It's easy to say that the first or the second one. The first one came out. It's a little confusing because the first one is actually episode 3, and the second one is actually number 5 because later he made 1, 2, and they made 1, 2, and 3. It's easily 3 or 4 are my favorites. In fact, if you want to prepare to see the new one that's coming out in Christmas, just see 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3 are quite terrible, but they still have a lot of the symbolism that you see in this movie.
Any other questions?
Oh, I like your last quote about special effects. If you don't mind, then send me those quotes, right? What you just said.
The what?
No, the
MTV,
special
yeah.
effects. All the movies are special. All the
the
I like.
quote?
Yeah, I like the quote. If you could send, please write on the.
I'll put it online.
Yes.
Online group.
But I think it's really good. But yeah, of course, all the movies are special.
Yes.
You cannot use that to judge a movie.
Right. You can. There are movies with too much special effects, but yeah.
But they still
at
have
the same time,
feeling.
they all are
Yeah.
all special
Yes.
effects,
So
right?
I really like that part.
Mhm.
Yes. So, totally agree with you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We will never notice those details without your comments. We just think it's just a special effect. Yeah, so thank you again. So let's move on.